I had a good conversation with Joel Gilley, who's the public affairs director for Wayne County, and he and I were joking about chickens. And I'm still waiting on some exceptions for chickens for myself, Jim, to get me a little farm going on in the backyard. But we'll circle back to that. You bring up COVID. Really was what we're talking about when we think about technology, requirements for meetings, voting rights, things of that nature. Talk to me let's break it up pre and post COVID. And I say post COVID just from to give everyone a sense of timing, right? Let's compare pre 2020 to now. What's happened and what's going on with where we're at now? Give us the rundown.
Well, and of course, it's no different in community associations than in any other aspect of our lives, restaurants, schools, everything else we do. And by that, I mean the old model. And by old, I mean 3 years ago. The old model for community associations, which is the umbrella term, by the way, I use, as does the country, for homeowner associations, condominium associations, townhomes. Community association is the umbrella term for those groups. The old model 3 years ago and past for community associations was boards would meet in person, and often members would come and watch, or they wouldn't, but the board of 5 or so people would tend to get together and talk about stuff. Although there was a statute that said boards could do telephone meetings or video meetings as long as everybody could hear everybody and everybody could talk to each other. So boards were kind of taken care of. But for membership meetings, there was just the town hall model pretty much, which is town hall means everybody shows up in one room. And if you're at work, not great. If you're on vacation, not great. Justin, if he can't make the meeting, could have sent a proxy with someone. He could name Jim his proxy, and I would go to the meeting in person, and I would do anything you could do, and that was about it. There was an option for a written ballot, like through the mail, but I know that's not what you're asking about. You're asking about meetings. But when COVID hit, of course, there were several emergency orders saying, look, people cannot get together in person. We have to have an emergency statute that comes up with a way that members in associations can make decisions during COVID. And once COVID started waning a bit, the General Assembly adopted a statute this past year that has a mechanism by which association members can either meet virtually. You could have a virtual meeting and do voting, or you could meet virtually and then vote by written ballot. Or if everybody's agreed to do transactions electronically, you could even do electronic voting of the membership without having a meeting at all. So yet again, it's technical and you have to jump through certain hoops to do it. But suddenly, people who might live in Chicago and own a townhome at the coast in North Carolina can suddenly participate in the annual meeting without making a major project out of it.
Is that still in effect today? Where are we at going from an emergency legislation to permanent legislation?
The emergency legislation, Justin, went away, but as part of a rewrite of the nonprofit corporation statute. So it's not just HOAs, condos, and townhomes. As part of a rewrite of the nonprofit corporation statute, the statute for nonprofit associations was rewritten such that members can either have electronic meetings or they can have electronic voting as long as they take certain steps to make sure some safeguards are in place, that Justin is Justin and Jim is Jim and somebody's not pretending to be Jim. And so there's certain steps you have to take. But if you take those steps, then members can meet electronically or virtually in associations now, and that statute will go forward unless it gets amended in the future.